What's going on, everyone? My name is Anson and we're back with a brand new video. In this video, I'm going to teach you all how to get started with developing Discord bots using the newest version of Discord.js, version 14, Discord.js 14. Okay, now I know Discord.js 13 actually was released, I think, last year, so it's only been 1 year and they've already released a new version. It's not really their fault because they did have to make a lot of changes to support Discord, the newest Discord API. And if you think about it, a lot of new features actually had came to Discord over like the past year and a half. Like application commands came out like I think over a year and a half ago. Things like threads, modals, buttons, like all those things I never expected Discord to actually ever add. But it's nice that they have them now, and it's actually changing the way bots are being developed, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So the way that you develop bots, 2-3 years ago, a lot of those videos are actually outdated. Okay, so in this new series, we're going to be learning how to develop Discord bots, the newest way possible. Okay. Anyways, instead of talking too much, let's go ahead and get started with setting up our project. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff. I'll show you how to actually add the bot to your server, and I'll show you how you can actually log the bot in. Alright, so now the first thing that you'll need to obviously do is first make sure you know how to actually program. If you don't know how to program, you're going to have a lot of issues when it comes to following tutorials. I know a lot of people who have tried to make Discord bots, they've struggled so much because they just don't know the basics of coding. And that's going to definitely bite you in the ass, because if you don't know how to code, you're not going to be able to make a Discord bot. You might kind of finesse your way through it, but it's going to be really difficult when something goes wrong. So before you even watch this video, I highly recommend you learn the basics of JavaScript, because we're developing with Node.js, which means that you're going to need to actually use JavaScript, which is the programming language. Okay, Node.js is the environment, it's the runtime environment that we're going to be using to execute the JavaScript code that we're writing. Because in case if you aren't aware, you can actually write JavaScript code on the browser and on the server side. Okay, thanks to Node.js. So make sure you learn the basics of Node.js first before you actually watch this video. Now, if you're confused on how to get started, I do have some videos on my channel that teaches you the basics of JavaScript. It teaches you the general concepts of programming. So if you watch those videos, you'll understand the concepts of programming, and then you can move into more complex things such as asynchronous programming with promises, async await, how to handle asynchronous operations, and a bunch more. Okay, so make sure you know how to code. I'm assuming those who are watching do have basics of coding. Okay, if you have the basics of coding, you should be able to follow along. Next thing that you'll need to obviously do is make sure you have Node.js installed. So how do you install Node.js? Well, just go over to the website and just download the required version. Now, as of right now, they say that the latest version that you need is 16.6.0. So if you just go over to the website and if you just download either the LTS version or the current, either one will be fine as long as it's version 16.6.0. Okay, if you have Node.js but you don't have at least version 16.6.0, then you need to make sure you update Node.js. Now that's something that you can figure out by just YouTubing or Googling how to update Node.js, right? If you use Windows, you can just easily download the installation file and run it again, and it will update it for you. That's what I do all the time, and it works for me. I usually uninstall it and then install the newest version, but I have version 16.13.1, so I won't be needing to update or install Node.js at all. This will be perfectly fine. Okay, so just make sure you have the latest version. You can check by going into your terminal and just typing node-v, and it will tell you the version. Okay. You might have some issues such as node is not recognized as a command. That just means that your environment variables are screwed up and it doesn't recognize node as a command, even if you have it installed. Again, if you just Google how to fix node is not recognized as a command, there's plenty of guides on how to fix that based on your operating system. I'm not gonna make a video on that or get involved with that right now, but I just figured I'd mention that in case you might run into the issue. Okay, so assuming that you know how to code, assuming you have Node.js installed. Other thing that I would also recommend is having a text editor. I use Visual Studio Code. Okay, and I also use Windows PowerShell, which is a nice tool to have to write PowerShell commands, and I use this to run my Node.js files. Okay, if you have Visual Studio Code, you can actually just use the internal terminal that comes with Visual Studio Code, which is really just PowerShell. Okay. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and create a new folder. So I'll type mcdir DJS version 14 tutorial, and I'll cd into this folder. And I know we've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna kind of speed this part up. So I'm inside my version 14 tutorial folder, and I'm gonna just open up Visual Studio Code with this directory active, so that way I just have it opened up. Okay, so this is my project over here. And what we're going to do, because we're developing in Node.js, we want to make sure we have a manifest file. And in Node.js, it's really just the package.json file. That's the file that's going to have, all of our dependencies, all the packages that we install listed. It's going to have the version of the project. It's going to have the name of the project, a bunch of different things. So for example, I'll show you how to create this file. All you got to do is just type npm init-y, and this will create the file for you. Okay, you can see that we have a new package.json file generated, and it has a JSON object, and it has a bunch of different properties. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the Discord.js package. So to do that, we just simply type npm I discord.js. Let me just double check to make sure. Yep, it's discord.js. Perfect. Okay, so discord.js, and let's install it. Now you might run into some issues when it comes to caching, because sometimes you might install packages and they are installed globally, and even if you were to install like the latest version, it would still show up as like an older version, right? You can see right over here that if I go to my package.json file, and if I look at my dependencies property, which was just added because we didn't have it before because we didn't have any dependencies, but now we do, right? You can see that it's using the latest version. Sometimes you might run into issues with caching, right? Because if you install the package globally, it will use that version. If you run into that issue, just make sure you install it by specifying the version at latest, okay? Or just make sure you have an actual package.json file, because then what will happen is you can have the actual modules installed locally. Right now, my Discord.js project version, right, this library is installed locally, and you can see that it is version 14.0.3. Okay, it's the latest version from the npm directory. Just figured I'd mention that in case some people might run into the issue. Okay, so now that we've installed Discord.js, the next thing that we have to obviously do is we need to obviously get our bots, our Discord bot, okay? Because one, we need to actually get the application created on Discord side, and then two, we need to actually write code to log the bot in. So I'll show you how to do that. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the Discord developer portal, and you can access that by going to discord.com/developers/applications, okay? So this is the developer portal, and you can create a new application by clicking new application, and then just type in whatever name you want. I'll call this coffee bot, whatever name, doesn't really matter, okay? And so when you first create the application, it'll bring you to this page, okay? Now what's important is let's first just copy the application ID. This is also known as the client ID. I'm going to copy this, and I'm just going to save this. Somewhere for now. Let me go ahead and open up a notepad and save this over here. Client ID, again, also known as the application ID. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll go over to the bot section over here, and I'm going to click on add bot. Okay, and you need to do this if you're developing a Discord bot. Okay, so click on yes, and then what will happen is it'll now show you that you created this bot. Okay, now what we need to do next is a couple things. Now I will mention a couple things that we won't need to worry about right now. If your bot requires you to receive presence updates, which involves things like the user's status, their activity, then you'll need to enable this. Okay, now if your bot reaches 100 or more servers, you will need to get verified. Same thing with server members intents, right? So if you want to receive events that is involving guild members, and I think this has to do with when they join, when they leave, when they change their nickname, when they get updated, right? If you want to receive events like that, you'll need to enable this as well. For now, we're going to leave this alone. Now, the last thing here is the message content intent. You don't really have to worry much about this if you don't have any traditional old school chat commands, right? Because back then, you would create chat commands by listening to the message events, right? And then what would happen is you would check to see what the user typed, and you would respond if that condition was met. For example, if they typed exclamation mark or whatever command prefix it was, and then the name of the command, you would check to see what the name of that command was, right? But because with application commands being a thing now, most people don't really use the old chat commands. They really just use slash commands. But if you need to use old school commands, then you will need to make sure that you enable message content intent. But it's not enforced as of right now. It won't be enforced until August 31st. So you still have some time. And similar to all of the other intents, that if your bot reaches 100 or more servers, you will need to get your application verified and approved. Okay, but like I said, for now we will not enable any of these three. Okay, now what we will do though is we first need to actually get our token. Now this is a little bit dangerous, right? Because one, this bot token is what allows your bot to actually log in. So what actually happens is you can think of it like an authorization token, right? The bot is going to basically use this token to connect to the Discord gateway, and when it's successfully connected, the bot will be able to receive events that are going on, right? So for example, it'll be able to receive events that whenever a user is sending a message, whenever they're typing, whenever they join the server, whenever they left the server, all that kind of stuff. So you need this bot token. Now, the reason why this is dangerous is because if someone manages to get a hold of this token, they can do a lot of bad things with your application, and you will be responsible for that. You can actually get in trouble if you don't keep this token secure. So make sure you follow good practices when it comes to securing your token. Now, just for the sake of this tutorial, you will see my bot token. I'm not going to bother hiding it, but don't worry because I am going to reset it. But like I said, just make sure you don't let anyone have this token, because it is really dangerous if someone that you don't trust has this, but you should not even give it to people that you trust. Now, I have my token right over here, but like I said, if your token gets leaked, just make sure you reset it immediately. What it'll do is it'll log your bot out, and you'll have to relog the bot in with a new token, okay? So I'm just gonna, like I said, it's okay that you all are seeing this, because I'm gonna reset it anyway, so it doesn't even matter if you see it. It won't work even if you try to use it. Okay, so I'll just save this in my notepad for now. I'll show you how to actually use this token to log the bot in. Now, one more thing that I will mention, this is just kind of obvious, is that you want to make sure that you have a test server that you can use to actually test your application, right? So what I do is I create a test server. So I'll show you that right over here. So I have my test Discord server over here, and this is just the server that I'm going to be using to test my bot to make sure that it works. Because obviously, if you're developing applications, you want to make sure that your application is working, right? The code that you write, you need to make sure that it's working, and the best way to ensure that it's working is by testing it. And that's what we're going to be doing. So just simply create a Discord server and just add the bot in. And I'm going to show you right now how to add the bot to the server. All right, so now the next step here is I'm going to show you how to actually get the bot into the server. So I'm going to go over to OAuth 2, and you can just click on URL generator, and you can select the scope. In our case, we're only developing a bot, so we just want to make sure that we have the bot scope enabled. You can also add whatever permissions you want for the bot specifically. I personally just prefer to create a bot role and give it X, Y, and Z permissions for that role, and then I'll just give that role to the bot. I like doing it that way better. Now, what you can do is you can just copy this URL, and then you can literally just I'm just gonna do right-click go to, and then what will happen is it will bring you to this page. And all that it's saying is that an external application wants to access your Discord account. Really what's going to be happening is it's just going to log into the Discord server. Now you need to make sure that you have at least the managed server permission on the server that you're trying to add the bot in. In my situation, I do have, I'm the owner of the server, so of course I'm going to have all the permissions, including managed server, right? If you are in a server that you're not the owner of, but if you have the managed server permission, you can add bots to that server. Okay, so I'm just going to select, let's see, this server right over here, authorize. Of course, we have to fill in the CAPTCHA, which is kind of annoying, but it's okay. All right, and let's go ahead and see. We have our coffee bot in our server. Perfect. All right, now we're not done yet. We need to go ahead and log the bot in. I'm going to show you how we can do that. So this is going to involve us to write some code. So let's go back into our application, and a couple things that I want to do is inside the package.json file, I want to go ahead and set the module, or not module, type to module, and this is going to allow me to use the latest features of ES6, right? Because by default, we'll have to use the common JS, which means what we're going to have to use statements such as require, module.exports, and that's really old, okay? And we're developing everything in just JavaScript, okay? We're not using TypeScript for this tutorial. So let me go and create a new folder, and I'm going to create a file called index.js. And so, for example, if we did not set the type to module, we would have to import our library, our Discord.js library like this with require, and that's very old. But because we have module, we have the type set to module, we can just do import from Discord.js, and this is more modern. Okay, nowadays, a lot of projects use the import statement instead of the require statement. Okay, now let's actually refer to the docs just so that we have a proper example on how to actually get started with, setting up our bot. Okay, so all we need to do is just import the client and the intents class from the Discord.js library. So I'll import client and I'll import intents. Whoops, if that's even valid. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll create a new instance of the client class, and that instance will be assigned to the variable called client. Okay, and inside the constructor, right, in between the parentheses, this is where we're going to pass in an object, and this is going to be the client options. Okay, and we need to pass in intents. This is actually required now. Okay, so the intents that we'll pass in, what we'll do is, let me actually see how they do in the docs, because it's different in the docs a little bit. But what I'll do is I'll do intents dots. I'm not sure why. Is this outdated, or is this outdated? Because for some reason it's not recognizing intents. But I'm not going to do it that way, I guess. Intents. Yeah, I'm not going to do it this way. What I will do is I'll do it this way. I'll do it like this. So we'll do guilds, and we'll do guild messages. So what this means, intents, what this means is we're opting in to receiving events related to guilds and guild messages. This is actually something that was enforced, I think, around last year, that you need to opt into intents, because intents are actually not really a new concept. They've been around for probably over a year now. But yeah, you're going to need to opt into intents, and this basically allows you to receive events related to guilds and events related to guild messages. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're then going to log the bot in by writing client, calling the login method, and we're going to need to pass in the token. Now, just for now, I am going to just store this token raw in our code. I do not recommend this, okay, but for the sake of tutorial purposes, for now I'm going to do this, okay? In a later video, I'll show you how to properly secure your token, so that way, you just don't put it in your code so it doesn't get leaked by accident and someone just hijacks your token, and then you're really screwed, okay? But for now, I'm going to save the token as a string and assign it to the token variable, and we're going to pass that variable into the login method. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run our code. And we do this by using the node command, and we're going to pass in the path to the file. So source index.js. And you're going to see that, let's see, stream up. I'm not sure what this is, but let's go ahead and look at Discord. You can see that right over here, CoffeeBot is online. Okay, and there you go, it works. So that's pretty much the most basic thing when it comes to making a Discord bot, is actually getting it on your server and then logging the bot in. Okay. Now in the next tutorial, I'll actually show you how we can set up a basic interaction command. So that way when we, use a basic slash command, we'll have the bot respond with something when we use that command. Okay, so once again, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I know it was pretty lengthy, but I just wanted to cover all the details. So if you like this video, definitely leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and looking forward to seeing you all in the next video. Peace out.